Dade County Public Schools, trades and grounds personnel, as well as zone mechanics, maintenance administrators, stores and distribution personnel, and garage maintenance personnel are to report to their respective maintenance satellites as soon as the all clear is announced. Now, all Special Investigative Unit personnel should also report to their stations as previously notified. And as we go out there now, and our crews have been out all morning trying to bring you an assessment of Hurricane Andrew's devastating effect here on South Florida, we can tell you that Florida Power and Light has already reported to us that they have 600,000 customers without power in Dade County, 425,000 customers without power in Broward County. So bear with us. We're trying to get as much information as we can to you. For folks who are watching us on Channel 4, if you need to get around the house, do some other things, you have that portable radio, because I know you must have those batteries, those additional batteries. You can listen to Y100. We are simulcasting on Y100. We've been doing this ever since we began our coverage, our continuous coverage. So again, you don't have to sit by the set. You can... Okay, we're going to give you some new numbers. This is to report any kind of a gas leak. If you're a city gas customer, we have 3 numbers for you. The numbers are 836-4784, or you can dial 793-5789, or you can call 691-2750, City Gas customers. More numbers. People's Gas in Dade County, 893-2522. or 573-3820. This is People's Gas in Dade County. In Broward County, People's Gas, 763-8900, 763-8900. And if you're trying to get through and it is busy, please continue to call. All the lines are swamped, but they do have folks there trying to answer all your questions and get to you as soon as they possibly can. Now, just to give you some more information, we're getting news releases by the second here, and we're trying to relay the information we get. Again, Miami Police Alpha Shift personnel being asked to report to Central Headquarters immediately. All right. And as far as water, I understand my producer is telling me we are still getting a lot of phone calls from folks about boiling water. We were on the phone with folks at the Broward Emergency Operations Center just a few minutes ago. They were telling us that you should boil the water there for at least 10 minutes. I don't know what Dade County has issued, but I would imagine 10 minutes would be a safe guess as well. That is unless you already have bottled water or you were able to put some water aside in a jug, in a gallon container before the storm hit. But at least boil it for 10 minutes. That's the boiling water. Also, I have an advisory from Metro Dade. All residents are being asked to conserve water and also to check their water service lines at home near uprooted trees. Now, you can determine if your service line has a leak by listening for leaking water near the site of the uprooted tree from the meter box to the home. Now, if you can confirm a leak, please disconnect the service at the meter by shutting off the valve at the meter. Now, again, please conserve water, especially in South Dade and Kendall, where the sewer plants have been seriously damaged. Something else, if you do not have to be outside, folks, stay indoors. There's no need to be out there. We have power lines down. We have some dangerous situations with all these trees that have been uprooted out there. We have a lot of emergency crews. We have the police department, National Guardsmen. We have so many folks trying to get out there and do their work and make it safer for you, that it would be best for you to just stay indoors today. We hope that you were able to stock up and you have the water and you have other liquids and you do have the food, but try not to go out there. You'll have plenty of time to assess the damage. Now we're going to give you some more phone numbers. Okay, what we're going to give you now are instructions for water purification. There you go. The first thing is boil 3 to 5 minutes. Purification tablets per gallon. Add 12 drops of 2% tincture iodine per gallon. Add 8 drops of household bleach per gallon. These are just some of the things you can do as far as purifying that water. Okay. And Yvette, where do you want to take us now? Okay, let me continue giving you some media advisories. Again, Homestead City Manager Alex Musso is requesting that all City of Homestead employees report to Homestead City Hall immediately. And for folks out there who are calling us and saying, we want to know what happened in the Keys. You know, bear with us. We're trying to get some information. As a matter of fact, Brian Allen is out there now trying to see what he can find out for us as far as damages, flooding, that and Key Biscayne. We have yet to hear from folks out there, but I know that that area, when I was driving in, was sealed off. And I understand, I am getting confirmation now that it is still sealed off. So if you're trying to get back in, stay where you are. Stay put. They are not allowing folks back in. Okay. All right, now we're going to show you some video. I believe this is video that Susan Wallace shot earlier. Here we go. Let's listen to this.
Are you all right? Yeah. Did you spend the night down here?
Yeah.
And what was it like?
It's terrifying.
Terrifying?
Yes, sir.
And where were you sleeping?
On the bridge.
So you guys all went up under it?
Yeah.
Anybody hurt down here?
No.
Unbelievable. Everybody's okay. Nobody's hurt.
No.
Wow.
Y'all had a cigarette?
I don't have a cigarette on. Sorry.
This is your place?
Yeah.
Are you surprised it's still here?
Yeah. I'm surprised that it's still here. Everybody else so gone. Mine's still here. That went, it started hitting here about 10 minutes after 1.
And that was when you felt it?
Yeah, that was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
From now on, we had to hold on. This is what we had up under the bridge.
You're watching tape of, this is a homeless gentleman who was out at Miami's mudflat section, and that was reporter Susan Wallace who was asking him the questions. Now, we are going to show you some video now of National Guardsmen arriving in Miami. This is just about 2 blocks up the street, folks. They're lined up at the headquarters of the City of Miami Police Department. You can see them there in full gear.
I'm back, Teresa.
Okay, there are 600, I understand, in Miami. 900 more are on their way here.
Yeah, this all came as part of Governor Child's emergency order yesterday, just to bring in some support for local police departments in both Dade and Broward County to assist with security, to help prevent the looting, and then also to help in cleanup once the area is more secure.
Also, Brian, I was just handed this. This is from Jackson Memorial Hospital. All scheduled second and third shift workers, if they can get to the hospital, please do so. And if you could please bring drinking water with you, it will be appreciated. So again, second and third shift workers, if they can get to Jackson Memorial Hospital, please come in and bring that bottled water with you. And by the way, you know that story, we kept running stories of the pregnant ladies that have been taken. Well, as of 1 o'clock, Jackson has had 35 babies. These ladies at Jackson have had 35 babies. And women, as of 1 p.m., had 35 babies. Since 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon, had...
and 22 women.
And 22 women are in labor. So I know we're going to get some Andrews out.
I was going to say, I wonder how many were named Andrew. Let me remind you of a closure here. Miami International Airport is closed. Possibly, I strongly emphasize the word possibly, will reopen tomorrow. The only flights being allowed to land are those with emergency relief supplies. All roads into the airport are closed. If you are an airport employee, you'll be asked to produce identification when you arrive to be admitted access to the airport. If you have flight questions, do not go to the airport. Do not call the airport. Please call your air carrier. If you just show up and the airport is not open, you will be turned away.
Okay, now I understand we're getting calls from people in Sunrise wanting to know if they're going to get that last band of Hurricane Andrew or if it's all over.
I'm still trying to we're still having some problems in the storm center.
That's right, you took some hits there too. Huh?
Yeah, we're still trying to get some, we've got some problems in there as far as
okay, so put that on your list, Sunrise.
That's first thing on my list is to get everything up.
He has a list that says way long.
It's very long.
Okay.
Let's talk about the curfew again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Remind folks that there is a curfew just imposed by Dade County Manager Joaquin Avignon, and that is from 7 p.m.
this evening until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not for tonight. This is
ongoing.
This is ongoing until further notice, and that is for your own protection, basically, is the reason. There's no reason for people to be out on the streets. There's nothing you can accomplish. If you're out there driving around, you could be in the way of possible fire trucks, police action, FP&L crews, gas crews, cleanup crews, people that are trying to at least make areas accessible so that when you can go in, it is accessible and safe.
Right. And also, you know, if you need to find out how that loved one is, the phones, thank goodness, are working in most parts.
In most parts.
So, you know, you should pick up that phone and try to find out. And if you're curious about your home, if you happen to be out in a shelter and you want to know how your home is, you know, folks, at this point, your safety and that of your family's safety is number one. So let's give it a little more. Let's be patient and let's stay out of the way here of the emergency crews that are trying to do their job and make life a little easier for them and for us. So
exactly.
Now we have got someone joining us here at the desk, and this lady hasn't slept at all because I've been watching her all morning, all
Beverly
night.
White.
She is here. Beverly
now.
White, welcome, lady.
Well, thank you, Teresa. I haven't combed my hair either, but that's another story. Bless your heart.
How was it last night?
It was outrageous. I mean, you spend the night with all these people you've never met, and they treat you with the utmost kindness. It's amazing. But I'm not here just to get over the shelter story, which is certainly compelling, but rather to give you an update from Homestead. We just came in from the southern part of the viewing audience, and the people down there, I know they've got their hands full. We spent some time with some folks on the streets, and believe me, it's so wet and rainy, intermittent conditions like you've been describing throughout the newscast, the continuous newscast. Our gear quit. Our camera just died, as you know humidity can do with the equipment that we use these days. Therefore, we don't have the pictures right now, although David Bloom is in that area and he has a satellite truck. He'll be up and running shortly.
So we'll have those pictures.
Right, let me tell you what we saw. Right around Eureka, which is also known as Southwest 184th Street off the Turnpike, there are buildings, strip malls, you name it, with roofs missing, entire households devastated. I'm told the Green Hill subdivision was especially hit hard. I spoke with one woman who said she lost her $85,000 home, all its contents, family portraits sucked out of the window. All of her clothes disappeared in an instant. She spent the night in the bathroom with her entire family, and everything was taken out of the house. And furniture, we're not just talking about pictures and lightweight things, but the couches and chairs as well. All of that disappeared in an instant, right around 4 or 4:30.
She's lucky to be able to tell you the story.
Certainly, and that's the sentiment with which she told us the story. Rather than being upset and tearful, like a lot of us would be for obvious reason, she was so bubbly and grateful and I don't know, effusive.
How many hours was she? She must have been, I mean, that must have been terrifying because I know to be in a situation, you were in a shelter, I was at home, and I know that I'm saying, my goodness, how much longer? So for this poor lady and her family, how many hours was she in that bathroom?
And her neighbors. She says she stayed in the bathroom till about 7 a.m. But other people came out, you know, to survey the damage because you hear all the bouncing and banging around you. And many of the people, we talked about half a dozen, described it as an explosion type of situation. You can't see it, but you can hear it. You're in utter darkness. You're hunkered down in your bathtub.
Okay, Eureka Drive, by the way, is what street? Do you know approximately?
Southwest 184th. Let me give you a block number if I can find it. Again, we're talking right off the Turnpike. So for those of you who know the area, it's not too hard to spot that.
Right?
You've seen
the
it. You've
exit is
driven
right
by,
there.
Right there. And
trying
the
to get
communities are visible on either side of the Turnpike. The places that were directly affected by this particular system, which struck right around 4 o'clock. Between Eureka and further south, approaching Homestead, we saw easily hundreds of homes that were wiped out. And I know when David arrived, I could talk to him and listen to him on the two-way radio. He described it as the worst he'd seen.
Now, this lady you talked to, among the other folks you spoke to, they decided to stay.
Certainly.
Did you find a lot of that? A lot of folks who said, we're going to stay here?
Sure, and some people who actually went and stayed with other family members and friends, they share the concern that, well, maybe next time we will get over to a shelter. We will not hesitate. They learned the lesson the hard way. There was no loss of life in these households.
Fortunately.
But the property, the experience, I know it's life-affirming for them.
Right.
And again, she was quite cheerful, telling me this story as if, you know, she had a revelation.
I was going to say, she's born again.
That's right. That's right. I don't know her religious persuasion, but I believe her faith.
But she was born yesterday.
That's right. Her faith was tested, but not broken in this situation.
Morning, I should say.
She was charming, and again, I wish I could have gotten her interview on camera, but because of the equipment challenges that we faced throughout the evening, not just at this location, we didn't get her on the record, so to speak. But I wanted to bring her story to you because it was so compelling.
Now, Carrie was sharing a story with us, a lot of camaraderie, neighbors helping each other. In fact, meeting neighbors they didn't even know, they had, trying to get all these trees out of the way and clean up. Do you find that in the Homestead area as well?
That's right. This lady we found at a strip mall. She just come by to see how the merchants were holding up because they suffered the same type of damage, and none of the merchants were there. She came by to see if there might be looters, and there were none yet, but the situation was ripe. You know, you've got convenience stores. I noticed one facility appeared to be an electronics store, but I'm not absolutely sure because the signs were gone, not just the rooftops. She came by just to see how everything was doing. I noticed the water was up to my knees, and she came through in her shorts, barefoot, just checking out how everybody else was doing. Because again, her family was salvaged, and although her personal belongings were shot, she insisted, you know, she has insurance, and even if she didn't, she was quite thankful to have survived this experience and lived to tell me the story so I could bring it to you. And remind you that these warnings are not to be taken lightly.
No, not at all.
Of course, there have been so many false alarms and fire drills, so to speak. We've had our share, but this one was the big one. I mean, the headline was so on the money.
How about the hospitals down there? Were you able at all to check with the hospitals down there and see how they're doing?
Not yet, but I did notice, speaking of official agencies and the like, National Guard.
Right, on their way.
As we came out of that area, they were going in. And they had on the helmets with the shields, so I guess maybe they anticipate trouble. Perhaps they anticipate looters. But they were out in full force, you know, on the approach to the very areas we had come from.
Did you see any FPL crews, any other service personnel out there?
I saw a couple of FPL trucks with the cherry pickers. I don't know where they were headed. They had so much to choose from in that community. Downed power lines interrupted us at every turn.
That's what I found.
We wound up getting rerouted. It took us the better part of 90 minutes just to get back from that community. It might normally have taken 45.
And would you say that the people are remaining indoors? I mean, you have a lot of those, like you said. No.
No. Okay. They're out on the streets. They're holding their hands up in, you know, thankfulness and shock and camaraderie, which you indicated. They're all getting together to help one another. And although the advisories indicate you should stay indoors because we're not out of the woods yet, the rains continued even as we spoke to these people. But
and there were some winds. I mean, there were some...
Sure, they believe the worst is over, and what else did they have to lose? You know, they came outside to, you know, hug one another.
We made it.
That's right. We made it.
We learned our lesson, but, you know, we're here to talk about it.
Right. We talked to some people who were loading up the few things that they had left in a car. I don't know where they were going. I'm not sure they knew where they were going, but they certainly planned to get out of the area.
Okay. Now, you said Dave Bloom is out in that area. He's got a live truck, so hopefully we'll be able to get a picture to folks out there. Well, Beverly, I hope you can take a break here for a few minutes.
Actually, I want to take some of the tape that we shot at the shelters and along the journey and bring it to you shortly, but prior to even sitting down and writing that story, I wanted to at least talk with you.
Well, it's good to hear. Unfortunately, there was some loss there, but we're talking about folks who are around to talk about it this morning.
And those who had second thoughts and third thoughts about the evacuation process may want to take a lesson.
Definitely. Thank you. All right. Well, we have some good news for folks who live out in Broward County. We understand that Hollywood Beach is now reopened. So if you want to go out there and you feel it's safe to do that, or you want to walk around, Hollywood Beach is reopened. Now, we want to go over those curfew times again. Dade County, as you know, has issued a curfew, and those times are from 7 o'clock this evening till 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we understand this is being done for your safety, folks. So you really don't need to be out there, especially in the evening. And the boundaries, we understand, may change. This is for all Dade County, but again, the boundaries may change as they are able to get work crews out there and emergency crews. Now, if you have any questions, Rumor Control Hotline is 596-8735, 596-8735. Now, joining me now is Channel 4's Ileana Bravo, another trooper who was out there and has been out there. And you look terrific. You look terrific. Now, tell us what you've got for us.
Well, actually, I just returned from what I thought was perhaps the most dramatic scene that I've had experience with yet in this hurricane, and that's at Baptist Hospital, where the victims of Hurricane Andrew are just coming by the dozens. Well, during the time that we were there were 50 people crowded into the emergency room at Baptist Hospital, and one of the reasons is, A, that South Day has been so hard hit by this, as you've been hearing over and over again, and we've been watching the video. I got to tell you that driving through it personally, it looks like the cliche goes, it looks like a war zone. There is not a tree standing, signs, billboards, things that are huge and heavy just tossed around like toothpicks. But nevertheless, the reason that I was over at Baptist was that we got the call that the physicians just simply couldn't handle it. James Archer Smith Hospital in Homestead has structural damage, so therefore they had to almost evacuate. They cannot handle patients, as is Deering Hospital. They sustained damage also from the hurricane, so they can't handle a lot of the patients. Thus, Baptist was left with a great deal of the burden. As I say, 50 people were there in the emergency room while we were there. And we'd like to look at some of the video just so we can see how many people were there and the kind of condition they were in. It's not like they were in very poor shape. It's not like they were critically injured, although one man had a shard of glass go through him, impale him literally. There you see some of the patients arriving. And this little boy, this was a tragic case. That mother was huddling him in bed, said she doesn't even know how it happened. He had a hole in his head. It's very graphic. It's so difficult to talk about, and I know you as a mother, Teresa, feel it.
And we went.
I was moved nearly to tears just seeing the scene at the emergency room. It's not only the bumps and the bruises and the cuts and the fact that a lot of the people had to walk themselves and drive themselves to the emergency room because rescue crews couldn't get there, but it's also the fact that they feel like they have been through the worst times of their life. And I'd like for you to hear some of those interviews just so you can hear the graphic description and the emotional description these people had.
In our neighborhood, it really just went right down the street, took off roofs, blew out windows, overturned trees. It looks like a war zone.
All you hear is things crashing, and you're going, oh, God, what was that now? You know, and you're huddled in the bathroom, and you got the little radio on trying to hear what's going on.
2x4s flying all through my house. I lost everything I had.
You lost everything?
My house is a total it's totaled.
How did you hurt yourself?
I don't know. I really don't. All I know is at one point I turned around to check something out, and I probably hit something sharp or something, but I just don't know. I've lost all thought about everything, about what happened. I just tried. All I wanted to do was protect myself.
To save your life.
That's all. And
Where did this gentleman live?
That couple, Larry and Deborah Crumley, were from South Miami Heights, and they said that everywhere around them in their neighborhood, roofs had been ripped off of houses. And he said that he was literally trying to hold up a wall, which is, I think, how he got so hurt. His leg was basically, it had some deep cuts and injuries, and he needed stitches.
It's the instinct. We've talked to so many people this morning who say, well, maybe one of the reasons I decided to stay home is I felt that if anything should happen, if I'm there, I can at least protect my home. Well,
Right.
we forget about our safety sometimes, and I know we have friends who tried to do that with their door, and they're okay, but,
But
it's not a pretty sight.
It's usually not the case, and this man even told me, he said that he just told his wife, you go save yourself, you go take care of yourself, and I'll be the man and take care of the house, and that's wonderful instinct, but the bottom line is he could have gotten killed, and he now knows that. And so
You can't fight 150 mile
No,
per hour
you
winds.
can't.
And the little boy, you started to tell me the mother really doesn't know how he got injured. Was it
she was
glass?
holding him in bed, and the glass and the house started literally caving in on them, crumbling in.
Where were they from?
and I didn't get the exact neighborhood because she was crying. She was holding a rosary.
Emotionally,
It was emotionally draining, simply. And she was so concerned because there are not enough doctors to be able to help. And Baptist is a terrific emergency room. They're doing the best they can. But she was concerned about infection to her little boy, and she was trying to,
How
get
early was
trauma.
she there this morning?
No one ventured out until about 4 in the afternoon. No, not 4 in the afternoon, excuse me, until 10 in the morning because they were afraid to leave their homes.
And there were still some gale force winds.
There were gale force winds. It was still hurricane knee
And
out
when did this
there.
happen, for example, to that little boy? Did it happen?
She doesn't
early
even know.
on?
She says she thinks that it may have happened in the middle of the night, and she didn't realize that he was bleeding. They were just trying to huddle it together in bed.
Now, Liana, you started to talk about the doctors. Do they still need doctors to go
sure
in there
do.
and treat all these people?
They sure do.
Is there a number that we can give folks and doctors out there, professionals who are listening? If you can help out, please, this is the time to do it.
Hey, I've got 3 tips on that. Number 1, there is a number that you could call at the Baptist Emergency Room, and that number is, I don't know if we can make up a screen.
Well, if you give, I'll jot it down.
But let's write this
give
down.
it to us now. and
It's
then-
596-1960, and the extension is 6292. Now, if you're a Baptist hospital physician on staff, you know these numbers, and you know that you're supposed to show up to work as soon as possible. And the emergency room physician, director there, understands that a lot of the doctors are caring for their family and their homes and their needs first, but as soon as they can, as soon as they feel that their situation is taken care of at home, come into the hospital because your services are badly needed, especially specialists, neurologists, orthopedists, all the specialty areas, because you have a lot of head injuries and you have limb injuries.